I realized that my dreams are not really what I thought I wanted, and that's okay. Hey, you guys, my name is Stella Kittrell, and welcome to the Repost Podcast. I'm your host. This is still the Repost Podcast with Lisa K. Satchell and Stella Kittrell, but not today. I wanted to bring a girl talk thing to the pod today because it's really something that's been weighing on me, and I just feel it's a journey not everyone gets to do and then get out of. And depending on how this conversation goes, we'll kiki afterward. And I miss you guys, and I want to catch up on some things that is going on. This is the last time you're gonna see my hair black because I'm getting it dyed. I'm finally going blonde. I'm so excited, and I don't know. I just am very passionate and want to talk about what I want to talk about. So let's get in the video. Okay, I'm gonna get comfy. 2 seconds. I really want to be comfy for this because I just want to talk to you guys just as friends on the internet. Okay, we're going to start from December of 2023. I had made a video titled, I Became a Stay-at-Home Girlfriend. And at the time, it was my absolute literal dream. I had wanted to be a stay-at-home wife. That is what I worked so hard for. To back it up even further, January of 2023, I had one request from God. I said, my one New Year's resolution is that you give me a soft life. And I was so burnt out. I was literally at the peak of my career, but I was also so burnt out and exhausted. And I couldn't imagine going the next 10, 15 years at the pace I was going and what I was doing. I was single last January and I was just working nonstop. And that wasn't my first time working in a way where I did not make time for other things in my life. And I remember I prayed the prayer, God, will you give me a soft life? And be careful what you ask God for. The preconceived notions of what it meant to be a stay-at-home girlfriend to another level. And I say this because it was only a desire of mine because I had instantly attached it to living a soft life. And boy, have I learned so much in the last year of what that actually could mean and what it does mean for a lot of people, especially people I know. I think a lot of the desire to be a stay-at-home wife one day was from family. I've talked about this a little bit, but I did take the video down because I just don't want people to see that and be like, I want that too. And unless you really, really want it, because not everyone can get out of that kind of lifestyle. And I had just seen the kind of lifestyle with a lot of people that I love, friends, family. And I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. That seems so relaxing. You're available all the time. I'm a content creator. I have a really flexible schedule. So seeing that their schedules were also flexible and just kind of hang out with them at their house. You don't see what's behind closed doors of people. And what happened behind closed doors to me, nothing bad, but just what my life actually looked like after, no pun intended, the cameras turned off. And what my life was like was such an experience. And I need to walk through it with you guys because, and I reiterate, if this kind of life is something that you want, all for it. I support it. If you want to be home, you don't want to work, you want to just serve your family, and that is what you're called to do, more power to you, sister. I swore that's what I was called to as well. And there are many people who, again, I personally know that are called to that kind of life, and they're 100% fulfilled in the role that God's given them. I will tell you right now, I am made for so much more than that. Whew, I didn't think this was going to be emotional. And I'm very, very fortunate, again, to be with a partner that's so freaking amazing, loving, kind, and adaptive to his wife and her antics. But this last year of my life have been the most confusing and interesting and fast and transformative. It's probably the most transformative year I've ever had in my life. 1 year ago today, I didn't know I was going to get married next year, and I didn't know all the things. I just didn't know anything. And so I really want to talk to the women who maybe are in my position or were in my position. I am speaking to the woman who thinks that she may want that kind of lifestyle too. Some things I may say today may help you evolve those ideas. And I'm also speaking to the woman in the situation who's feeling like me now, where no, it's time to get back to me. And like, this is not actually what I want, because that's okay. Because I think at the end of the day, the last thing we want to do is live the next 15 years like this in regret, in what ifs, and uncertainties. And I think it's totally okay to remain in your independence, in your individuality. As someone, as I mentioned, I was super, super self-sufficient. Like, I'm talking, yes, I loved God too. Like, but I mean, beyond God, I thought I was God in a sense. Like, I was just totally good, taking care of myself. And to be knocked off my feet was one thing. But just specifically the last year, from December to November, specifically yielding and leaning into this lifestyle I thought I wanted, I have just been totally blown away. And again, thankfully I have an amazing partner, and nothing bad was happening like behind the scenes. But oftentimes this year I did think about the women who are maybe in tougher situations. We have no children. There's not that added layer of chaos of me making this discovery. There is no abuse in the house, which I kept thinking about women who were in abusive situations who are also living this life, mental, emotional, physical, that was another added layer. And then I also thought about the women who understood what I understood. Like, is there a risk to tell my partner, like, I don't want this lifestyle anymore? And that was me. I opened up to my husband about this maybe 2 weeks ago. I'd been thinking it and formulating it and understanding it a while, but I didn't really understand it until like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, I really don't want that. And I think the beautiful things about like being a stay-at-home whatever is, right, because you're not, it's full of self. It truly is full of self, because ideally in the situation of being a stay-at-home girlfriend, if you watch any of the TikToks or the wives or the trad wife, whatever, which people were like, oh, you're into the trad wife stuff. It's like, I'm not, but like there is a part of that element to it that feels so exciting and beautiful. So we're going to go back to, like, I know we see all the like trad wife stuff online and people are like, oh, you're leaning into trad wife stuff. It's like part of the trad wife things, or the stay-at-home wife or girlfriend things, I was very incredibly interested in. It's something that made me happy. So in December last year, right off the gate, I moved in with my boyfriend. And I was like, you know what? I want to be the Pilates stay-at-home girlfriend vibe. Like, I want that to be my whole thing. It's what I've always envisioned for myself. Being a wife, it's what I want. Let's go. So I immediately did that. I signed up for ClassPass. I was going to Pilates like 3 times a week. I was doing bar class, but I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. I was doing it for the aesthetic, like vulnerably the aesthetic. It felt good to do it. It felt good to drive my car and go to a Pilates class I didn't pay for and go at 10 o'clock. It just felt really good. And one thing I had decided early on to do, because the trad wife conversation was so sticky, was not truly document it. I had made like a couple videos of like my new lifestyle. And I was like, I don't even want to document this. 2 reasons. One, it's kind of work to do that. Like, not obviously real labor, but for my profession, it's technically in my profession. And then 2, it was just, I wanted to figure out what that looked like for me, like for real, like as a wife for real. Like, I don't want to do it because the girls are doing it. I don't want to do it for the aesthetic of other people. Like, for me, what does it mean to be a stay-at-home girlfriend? And I had spent maybe 2 months. Okay, this is where the story turns. So I spent about a month and a half actually doing this lifestyle, my Pilates thing, eating real clean, making really good meals. Like, honestly, best household ever, until something happened. I am someone who built a career for myself before being in a relationship. And a lot of times when people enter this life, they know from a very early age, but they don't do what I did, which was go the career track first, but a lot of women do too. And what I started to notice was that my life was going to look different living this lifestyle. So last year, 2023, I was traveling the world. I went to Paris Fashion Week twice. I had been to London. I had been to Greece. I was a travel influencer. I was evolving my career. I was just outside with it. I was having so much fun. Even after like being soft, I was having a lot of fun. And when it came time to like put into practice my desires. And I'm now living with someone and, preparing for marriage and what that's going to look like. I had an opportunity to, I don't know what kind of sale was happening, but Trusted House Sitters website, love it. I'll link it down below. Essentially what you do, and you don't have to be an influencer. This is like for people who like to do nomad work. What you do is you go to Trusted House Sitters and you say, hey, I'm going to be in Winnipeg from this state to this state. And you look for like places to pet sit or house sit, but it's like 90% pet sitting. It's very rare to find just house sitters. And I'm on there and I'm like, okay, like house sitting like this seems really cool. And this is the first time I'm faced with the actuality that my life is not my own anymore, which is also funny because remember at the time I wasn't married. So I was stuck in this, okay, like what do I do? Because I've now built myself a life, which I thought I wanted, where I am servicing my home, not just my husband, but my home. I'm serving myself, serving my home, serving my husband. And that is the life I thought, or a boyfriend at the time, but that is the life I thought I wanted. And it was my first crossroads. I'm sitting there because Trusted House Sitters for New Year's or something was on sale. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was making like New Year's resolutions. I was like, no, I really want to travel this year. And one of my friends, I went to a TikTok party. Like before we moved in together, I was still doing me, right? I was still like doing what I wanted to do, just way calmer. And I went to a TikTok party and this girl was like, okay, I'm a travel influencer. And how I do it is I stay at people's houses for free by house sitting. And then, I'm just traveling. And then I get to stay for free. And then I just got to make my way there. So I was like, great idea. So top of the new year, I was like, that's what I really want to do. Now, keep in mind, 2023, I had traveled so much. So this was just like another advancement in my travel influencer journey. And now I have a whole nother person to consider. So I was at a crossroads. It's like, okay, so I'm going to do this. I talked to my husband about it. I was like, I would really like to go somewhere. And I put my bid in for England, and then I put my bid in, and we eventually ended in Aspen. And at the end of January of 2024, this year, I had booked a trip to Aspen. It was literally in the height of ski season. Something that I liked to do in my 1 year of travel influencing was say, travel off season. So this was my first time getting an opportunity to do a travel content situation while it being peak season. That's something I hadn't been able to do yet. So I was like, this is really, really cool. And it felt cool. It felt cool to be immersed in it. I had spent the last month and a half just like doing the home thing, but then it kind of felt like I was getting back to me in a little way. And I was confused. I was really confused. And that was just the beginning of my confusion, if we're being really honest. So I go do Aspen, and it is the most incredible week, but it is not aligning with anything that I have built for myself back home. I have set up a home where my home is very, very reliant on my involvement to keep it up. And being gone for a week, being gone from the animals, being gone from my husband, being gone from the home, which has now depended on me running the show, for a lack of a better term. When I was in Aspen by myself in this lady's house in the snow with a dog and 2 cats, I was so free. I was so free. I explored myself. I did all the things I was doing by myself before. I was exploring new cities. I went to Denver. I had never just hung out in Denver before. I took myself to Meow Wolf. I went to a stock show and rodeo. I went to Aspen and went in the village and just explored. I applied to be on The Circle. I had sent in my audition tape. I filmed videos. I did an ad for Good American while I was out there. I just was so efficient. And it was so beautiful. And at night, that was also during a prayer fast at church. So I'd wake up and do my prayer, be with the dog. And remember, I'm someone who was so alone for so long. And although I had yearned for companionship and family, my automatic state was functioning by myself. And I knew on a conscious level that's not all I wanted out of life, to function by myself. I knew that relationship built more outward love than inward. And I was very conscious of that. But I didn't realize the impact my life had really taken until that trip to Aspen. And it's so beautiful to be in a soft relationship and live a soft life. But I do hold a lot of value in figuring things out too. Like being in Aspen and figuring out how I'm going to get to Aspen from Denver, and figuring out a stock show and rodeo, and just figuring stuff out. Like just taking people's suggestions, like, oh, you're in Denver, you should do this. Just a lot of, there was a lot of discovery that I was able to do that travel provides me. And the whole trip itself cost me about $500 round, or like total, with food, with travel, with flights. It was like $500, so it was great. 500 to 800. I don't really remember. It was a year ago, but let's just say 500 because that sounds about right. And it felt so doable. And when I came home, there was a conversation that was had from my husband, like, I support you. I want you to do whatever you want to do. And I love that you want to do everything you want to do. But I don't know if your travel is in alignment with our goals that we've made. Because every year in November, I say every year, but our last year was our inaugural Kittrell family meeting. We made plans for the next year. And I was like, you know what? You're right. In 2024, we have pretty big plans. And in hindsight, now that the year's almost over, we have accomplished so much as a couple. But what I had done was I had quieted my individual desires, goals, and dreams. And not because someone told me to, but because I genuinely didn't understand the transaction, the giving, the outward effort of life that used to be so inward. And after Aspen, I said, you're right. We made a lot of goals this year. I'm going to cool it on travel. And I did. I knew I had one more trip planned for Texas because my cousin had graduated. And I was like, you're right. Like, that's what's going to happen. But what I had severely underestimated was how much progress I had made, how much fulfillment I got from not only seeing the world and exploring it, to just like reminiscing about it, I guess. And I say all this to say too, when I decided that DeAndre was the person I wanted to be with, travel was a very big topic. If you guys watch our Surf How We Met, like, Greece is such a funny moment for our relationship. And there was a lot of understanding that I will need you to travel with me one day. But how things were naturally unfolding, this is why communication and having a partner you can communicate with is so important. So after that, after Aspen, I came back. February happened. It was our anniversary. March happened, which was like spring break. That's where it kind of got a little, that's where I was really leaning, like February, our anniversary, March, I was really leaning into the commitment I had made to be a stay-at-home girlfriend. And in the beginning of April, my husband proposed and we got married 2 weeks later. And we got married. And that is when I had made the decision, like, this is the life I chose, let's lean in. And I leaned in. I'm a freaking awesome wife. I have created an awesome environment in the home. It is great. I think after marriage, it gave me a revitalization to start filming again, because it's never been discouraged by my husband ever. He's like, I know you don't, he's like, his philosophy is you can work if you want to, you don't have to work. And it gave me this revitalization after we got married to film again and to create again and just start to be a little, figure out what I want to do. And then all summer, because of that little like thing, we started getting really awesome opportunities. So it looked like where our life could go. And we were doing a lot of couple stuff. We were invited to a lot of really cool places. So now my travel aspect's coming back. We went to the Hamptons. We went to Atlantic City, and got to just have these collabs with all these cities and places. And it was amazing. And the in-between though, the in-between still looked different. The in-between, I was still servicing home. And everything was just inconsistent. And someone who used to be really consistent, me, posting every day, if not every other day, there was still this inconsistency that wasn't being filled in me. And I was struggling with the fact of whether or not it was my new role in my new life, and this is what life looks like now as a wife, or if there was something that needed to be a little different. So, and I'm going to just keep thanking God every time we get to this point in the story, because I could have been with anyone else, but God gave me someone who would understand and be able to help me through all of this. In August, it was my birthday, and my husband said, look, you have been so down. You have been so not really yourself. I really need you to like find that spark again. Like, what can we do? And I said, you know what I haven't done in a really long time, and I think it's time. I need to do a fashion haul. I need to film a fashion haul. He's like, cool. So for my birthday, I found a dress from Pretty Little Thing, and I ordered clothes, and I did everything you could do with those clothes. I did a haul, I did TikToks, I did Instagram videos, I did stories. I just did everything you could think about with those clothes. And it felt so good. It felt so good. And it felt like the start of a revitalization. It felt like the start of me going, but I could be an extremist sometimes. And I was like, well, maybe I need to do this every day and do it like I was doing before. And then the chaos happened. Chaos in the sense of I had a lot of deaths around me. After my birthday, it was just hell. I had a lot of deaths around me, a lot of not great things happening, people dying, people being sick, in and out of hospitals for 2-3 months, really. And October, things got better, but that month, those couple months were just bad. And it felt like, okay, like it just felt like I couldn't come to the office. It felt like I couldn't get the clothes on. It felt like I couldn't go. I was like, what am I doing? I am a super big doer and not a very big dreamer. And what I mean by that is if I have an idea, I physically get up and go do it, because I've seen what life can look like when you get up and go. And being in a state, this is like where I started talking to my husband about this idea of, I think I'm turning into a dreamer when I used to be a doer. And I think what was a conflicting part of this whole journey is I wasn't with someone who was expecting me to give up my individuality. They were asking that I become more in a relationship, right? Like I become one with someone, but not to lose my individuality. And I just had like the whole thing backward. And I remember when I started thinking that, I feel like I'm a dreamer again, it really sparked something in my husband too. Like, well, we're not a family of dreamers, so what do we need to do? And I remember September, October, I got a couple collab offers, and it really felt like, hey, it's time. Like, it's time to get back on the horse. It's time to go. And I personally was just struggling because now I felt inadequate as a wife, as a dog mom, a cat mom, like just felt like now I'm not servicing my home like I should be, because now I'm back on the grind. And it's been this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And how we got to today and me making this video is because I am pulling myself out before we go any further. I am getting myself to stand up before I crawl anymore, because I've realized this life is not sustainable for me. It's not sustainable for me. I'm in love with my marriage. I'm in love with the person I'm married to. I'm in love with my life at home. I'm super excited for the things we have coming up. We're moving like within the next couple weeks. There's just so much happening, newness around us. And I realized that my dreams are not really what I thought I wanted. And that's okay. And the biggest thing you can do when you become self-aware is to take action and to do something about it. What does that look like for you? And I'm a different person. I'm a different person than I was when I left my consistent videos. And in those 2 years, almost 2 years of reflection, I realized I was so consistent in videos because I was so in survival mode. I had to make sure my bills were paid. I had to make sure, all these things I didn't have to worry about anymore. I was in survival mode because of that. And when someone relieved those pressures off of me, it took me almost 2 years, y'all, to be like, oh, you can create fun videos again. And now I'm creating videos that are like I did back when I first started YouTube. And it wasn't about collabs or money or sponsorships. It was just like, I'm having fun on the internet. Like, cringy, embarrassing, funny stuff. That's what I used to do. Today, I just did my lashes, a video doing my lashes. Let's try to do false lashes together. Just genuine things that built my community, that were fun, and just made this all fun again. We're such in an era where, like, speaking to my content creators, where everything needs to be a brand and muted and no color. Like, bring back the color, bring back the fun, bring back the excitement of everything, right? And I feel like I'm getting my color back. And so much prayer has gone into this. And it's so hard too, because when you're with someone who sees all of this in you and they're still supporting what you're choosing to do, it's so hard, because you want to see yourself how other people see you. You want to see their perception of you, and they'll speak so much life into you, but it's really going to take you to get it. It's going to take you to say, no, let's do something different. And that's what I did. And 2 weeks ago, I came to my husband and I said, we got to do something different, because I can't keep doing this. And I'm excited. And now that I've given that verbal, like, I'm ready to step into, maybe not back to who I was, but step into whatever's next for me. It's been just so much support. And he kicked me out the house today to come to the office and film this for you guys and film the pod. He's like, go enjoy your podcast. And just on a personal level, I don't really know what this is going to look like yet. But I do know what it feels like to be inspired and not move in guilt, and to get back to work. The complete opposite of what you're supposed to do. And it feels good. It feels good to support communities and people online and have big goals and big dreams. I wish I could freaking sit here and tell you all the things I've put together in the last month of things I want to do now. And I'm planning to do what I'm doing. I know you guys know because you're the pod, but my personal channels don't know. But I'm back in school. Yesterday I spent all day applying to scholarships. Like, doing. I feel like I had this notion when I was like a new stay-at-home girlfriend that I'm doing it the modern way. I'm still gonna do what I want to do, and I'm still gonna move forward and make changes, and I'm doing this the modern way. And for it to not look like that a year later, it could have. In theory, it could have. No one was holding me back. No one was stopping anything. It was just so mentally taxing. It was so mentally taxing. So I'm really excited for my future now. I'm excited for the rest. I'm grateful for the rest. I did get a lot of rest, although there was a lot of emotional conflict about it. I did get a lot of rest and a lot of growth and a lot of reevaluating what I want to see. And I'm excited to just come back. And I'm also excited to make this video because I don't, and it's crazy how 1 year can change this. I don't believe women need to just be the wife. And I kept listening to Good Luck Babe by Chapel Roan. This is not a pod episode if I don't bring up Chapel. But although she was talking about the girl being gay, how I resonated to the line, you wake up in the bed in just the middle of the night and you're nothing more than his wife. That really hit me because that's what I started to feel like. I started to feel like nothing more than my husband's wife, which is a great thing to be. But for it to be my only defining characteristic, after so much I've seen myself do, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And again, if that is your life you want or you're striving to, Godspeed. But if I only took a year. And I really want to emphasize this point too. It took me 1 year to figure that out. I know people who are not living the fairy tale when the cameras turn off, when the door's closed, when we're hanging out. But it feels like a fairy tale. It feels like, hey, I got everything I need, want, I'm fine, I'm sustained, I'm good. We're meant to be great. We're meant to do great things. And I firmly believe God has placed something in me that I haven't discovered yet to share with the world. And I'm so excited to do that. If God was done with me, legit, I'd be dead. And I'm not. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be supported and in clear conscience moving forward and like regaining that individuality I lost. And the hardest thing for me about this is I overthink this and I think this all the time. If you don't use ChatGPT as like a therapist, like definitely recommend. The hardest thing that has been on the forefront of my mind the last year was the women who are just in situations where this is the standard and there is no other way. And there isn't a conversation with a partner that's like, okay, I want to completely change the lifestyle that we both agreed upon that we're going to live forever. It made me so empathetic. It made me so empathetic to that, to the point where I deleted my YouTube video. Because it's like, I'm so blessed in my situation, but that is not everyone's situation. It's going to be a struggle for some women to stand up and say, I can't do this anymore. I need more. There is more. I had a future. I had a life. Literally, all of this to say is just because, I think my biggest lesson I've learned in the last year, just because you see something for yourself doesn't mean you need to stay there. And secondly, just because you see maybe your family or your close friends living a certain lifestyle that seems interesting to you, it's okay to try it, but it's also okay to not. And it's okay to continue with the life you were living to. And I hope to God I said everything that I was supposed to say in this video, in this pod. And I really hope I got my point across very, very clearly. But you are made for so much more. Any woman watching this, you are so much more than a mother. You are so much more than a wife. There are things only in your brain that will impact the world, that will change lives, that will impact generations, that will touch children's souls and help them grow into amazing people. That's all within you. And I just don't want to see any woman silenced. And maybe this is real feminist of me, but I just, I've seen a whole new world. I've lived a whole new world. And that's something about me that's very, like, just personally, that's, a blessing and a curse sometimes, is that I am a doer. I do it. I want to do something. And what I chose to do this time was to sit back. And it's cool because I don't have to spend my whole life wondering if, is this something I should have done? Should I live life like that? Like, now I have this last year to look back on and be like, there was so much that wasn't about you that could have happened. And I don't even know what this will look like when we do have children. Maybe when we have children, I'll reevaluate. I mean, that's going to be a whole nother thing too, right? Like, how am I servicing my home and doing this while having kids? But I do know we're not there right now. And I do know I'm not going to wish for my life to speed up and let this moment pass me by. And especially the last couple months with all the people who've just been sick and dead around me, I cannot afford to take this all for granted anymore. And it's just really beautiful. So that's my spiel today. And I'm hoping, if you guys have any questions, I can get in the chat and answer them, or want to share your stories similar or not similar. I think it could be really, really helpful to women. I know when I made my original video of I made a video on my personal channel that was like, I'm a stay-at-home girlfriend, and how much I was so excited and I'm so in love with the idea. And so many women resonated with it. Like, they loved it and blah, 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 blah. But this is just my experience, and yeah. I guess that's the pot up. I knew I wasn't going to kiki after this. I was like, I knew it was going to be too heavy to kiki, but I'm probably going to go film the TikTok version. Very excited. If you guys, I know it's probably a shorter episode too, so you can find us anywhere you listen or watch pods. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And we will see you really soon. I do have I have one guest confirmed next week. So hopefully they don't flake on me again. They flaked on me last week. But I'm really excited to just have the pod eps and fill our space until our Lisa K. Satchell comes back. Lisa Kajabi Satchell. What did someone call her? I forgot, but someone's like, I'm gonna miss Lisa. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Lisa dyed her hair, which is why I'm getting my hair dyed because she's like literally an influencer. And I was like, Lisa Lululemon Satchel, because she literally is like a Lululemon mom now. You should go check out that vlog. It's really fun. She looks amazing. Love my sister. Whew, okay. I will see you guys really soon. Bye bye.